Consistency is what transforms belief into reality. You can't just believe for a day. You must live your belief every single day. Breathe it, embody it, repeat it until it becomes your nature. It's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you choose to do and believe over and over again. Every great transformation begins not with talent or luck, but with an unshakable pattern of consistent action. And it always starts here with belief, because if you don't believe, you won't act. And if you won't act, you'll never change. Your belief system is like the software running your entire life. If it's outdated, full of doubt, fear, and limitations, your actions will crash before they even begin. But when you upgrade that inner system, when you start believing that anything is possible, your entire world shifts. Most people think success begins with resources. It doesn't. It begins with belief. Belief that you can create, that you can learn, that you can rise again even after falling 1,000 times. Belief that you are not defined by where you are, but by where you decide to go next. Every dream you've ever had, every goal you've ever imagined, it's waiting for your belief to ignite it. Because belief is the switch that turns potential into power. And remember this, belief isn't pretending everything's perfect. It's standing in the storm and still saying, I know I'll make it through. It's feeling fear and still taking the step. It's hearing the noise of doubt and still choosing your vision over your insecurity. Every extraordinary life begins with an ordinary person who decided to believe beyond reason, beyond the opinions of others, beyond the evidence of their past. That's how every story of greatness begins, not with certainty, but with courage, not with guarantees, but with faith. So when your mind says, you can't, your belief must whisper louder, watch me, because you'll never rise higher than what you believe you deserve. You'll never achieve what you can't first imagine. Belief is the birthplace of every miracle, and you are capable of miracles when you stop letting fear make your choices. So believe as if anything is possible, because it is. You just have to decide to start. Consistency turns belief into reality. You can believe in yourself once, twice, or 100 times, but unless you act on that belief, it remains a dream trapped inside your imagination. Belief gives birth to possibility, but consistency gives it life. Every time you wake up and move forward, even when you don't feel ready, even when no one is watching, you're teaching your mind to trust you. You're building momentum. You're building proof. And eventually that proof becomes power. See, faith without effort fades, but effort fueled by faith becomes unstoppable. The people who achieve the impossible aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who never quit. They use their doubt as fuel, their fear as focus, their pain as purpose. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It's the quiet repetition of small choices that no one claps for, the early mornings, the long nights, the sacrifices that no one sees. But that's where transformation happens. Because one day, all those unnoticed moments, all that unseen effort, explodes into success. And when that day comes, people will call it luck, but you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was your consistency catching up with your belief. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you silence the voice that says, not today, every time you push when you could have rested, you are rewriting your story. And that's what belief does. It gives you the strength to keep showing up even when results are invisible. Listen, life doesn't reward those who move fast. It rewards those who don't stop, because consistency is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. You might not see change overnight, but every time you show up, something inside you shifts. Your focus sharpens, your confidence grows, your identity starts aligning with your vision. And that's the real secret. It's not about motivation anymore. It's about identity. When you start believing you are the kind of person who deserves success, who creates success, who embodies success, then your actions will automatically follow. You no longer need to force yourself. You just flow into who you're meant to be, because belief, when repeated through consistency, becomes identity. And once your identity changes, your entire destiny follows. You stop waiting for inspiration. You stop depending on luck. You stop fearing failure. You simply live your purpose every day, every breath, every choice. And in that space, life begins to open for you. Opportunities start aligning, people start noticing, doors start unlocking, because the universe always responds to the energy of belief backed by consistent action. So keep believing, keep showing up, even when no one claps, even when progress feels slow, even when your heart feels heavy, because every great transformation begins invisible and ends inevitable. And when it happens, when your results finally match your effort, you'll realize it was all worth it. Faith is what you hold on to when everything else falls apart, when the plan collapses, when the dream delays, when the people you counted on walk away. Faith is what whispers, keep going anyway, because failure is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It's the voice that says, you were made for more, but you'll have to grow for it. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you've even tried. But what makes them different is simple. They kept their faith when the evidence said, give up. They didn't see failure as final, they saw it as feedback. And that's what resilience really is, the ability to bend without breaking. Resilience means standing in the ruins of what you thought your life would be and still finding the strength to build again. It's crying at night, then waking up the next morning, looking in the mirror and saying, not today, I'm not done yet, because faith doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It whispers through your pain, your confusion, your exhaustion. It's the quiet voice that says, I'll find a way. A failure doesn't define you. Your comeback does. The fall doesn't matter as much as the rise, because every time you rise after being knocked down, you become a different version of yourself, stronger, wiser, sharper. Life is not testing how much you can dream. It's testing how much you can endure, how much pressure you can take without losing your faith. And that's where greatness is born, not in success, but in struggle. The gym with your soul is built in silence, in setbacks, in those lonely nights when no one believes in you but you. Faith is that invisible fire inside you that says, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will. And every time you say that, the universe listens, because faith moves things that effort alone can't. Faith creates opportunities where logic sees none. Faith lights up paths you couldn't even see before. But remember, faith without resilience fades. You have to protect it. You have to nurture it. You have to hold on to it when the world gives you every reason to doubt. Resilience is built one moment at a time. Every time you refuse to give up on yourself. It's built when you face rejection and still choose to try again. When you fail in public and still dare to dream in private. And maybe right now you're in that stage where you're doing everything right, but nothing seems to move. Where you're showing up, giving your all, but the results are invisible. That's the testing ground of faith. That's where life measures your hunger, your patience, your persistence. Because only those who keep believing through the silence are trusted with the sound of success. So don't run from the struggle, respect it. Because it's shaping you for the strength you'll need later. The heartbreak, the loss, the rejection, it's all preparation. You're being refined, not rejected. You're being built, not broken. Faith turns your pain into power. Resilience turns your waiting into wisdom. So stand tall. You're not failing, you're forming. You're not losing, you're learning. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. And when your moment comes, when everything finally clicks, you'll realize that none of the pain was wasted. Because every tear watered your roots. Every setback taught you patience. Every failure built the foundation for your strength. You didn't come this far just to break now. You came this far to prove that nothing and no one can stop a heart that still believes. Keep your faith, protect your fire, and trust that your resilience is already rewriting your destiny. There comes a moment in every person's life when you realize no one is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not the world. And that realization isn't sad, it's the beginning of your liberation. Because the most powerful thing you can ever learn is to trust yourself, to stand tall in your truth, even when the world doesn't understand it, to believe that you can handle whatever life throws your way because you've already survived everything that tried to break you. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Without it, you'll always look outside for validation. You'll wait for people to tell you who you are, what you can do, and when you're ready. But when you learn to trust your own voice, you stop asking for permission to be powerful. Every great transformation starts when you say, I've got me. Because when you trust yourself, you stop chasing approval. You stop begging for acceptance. You start leading your own life with conviction instead of fear. You don't need to have every answer. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need the courage to take the next step, believing that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. That's self-trust. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's quiet certainty. The kind that says, even if I fall, I know I'll rise again. People will doubt you. They'll question your decisions. Sometimes they'll walk away because your confidence reminds them of everything they've been afraid to claim. But that's okay, because self-trust isn't built to please people. It's built to protect your peace. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen it. When you say you'll do something and actually do it, even when it's uncomfortable, your mind starts to believe you. That's how self-respect grows. That's how inner power multiplies. But if you keep breaking promises to yourself, if you keep saying tomorrow and never follow through, your confidence fades. You start to doubt not the world, but your own word. And that's where most people get stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they've stopped trusting themselves. So today, start small, keep one promise, just one. Wake up when you said you would. Speak your truth when it matters. Say no when your heart says no. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. That's how warriors are built, not through luck or talent, but through loyalty to themselves. When you become your own source of strength, you stop being afraid of loss. You stop being terrified of being alone because you realize you were never alone. You've always had you. You've always had the fire inside that whispers. Get up. And when you learn to depend on that, you become unstoppable. You no longer chase people. You attract them. You no longer beg for support. You embody it. You no longer wait for motivation. You generate it, because the truth is self-trust is the seed of every dream you've ever had. When you believe in your own ability to adapt, to create, to rise, you remove every limit the world ever tried to place on you. That's why the most magnetic people aren't the loudest, they're the most grounded. They don't need to convince anyone their energy speaks for them. You can feel their certainty, their calm, their focus, because it's real. And the beauty of self-trust is that once you have it, everything else becomes easier. Decisions become clearer, risks feel lighter, challenges feel smaller, because you know whatever happens, you'll find a way through it. That's not just belief, that's freedom, freedom from fear, freedom from doubt, freedom from needing anyone's approval to live the life you know you deserve. So if no one tells you today, let me remind you, you are capable, you are prepared, you are enough. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for the right people. Start with you. Trust that your instincts are divine. Trust that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. And trust that the same power that brought you this far will carry you the rest of the way. Because when you finally trust yourself truly, completely, you stop surviving life, you start creating it. And that's when everything changes.